Hey friends, welcome to TechHarvesting with Nasil. In today's video, let's have a look at installing and configuring Kubeadm on Linux, specifically Ubuntu. But doesn't matter if you're on Debian-based distributions or anything. I'll tell you if there are any changes in the commands that you're gonna execute. So first of all, what is Kubeadm? So Kubeadm is like a command or a tool that helps us to bootstrap our cluster, which means we can even add multiple nodes with different servers, and we can do different things like that. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can install Kubeadm, Kubelet, Kubectl, and also Docker for managing our containers as the container runtime engine. So there's Kubelet, it's the component that runs on all the virtual machines, and it's going to help us to start different pods, and it's what communicates with the Kube API server, which helps us to run the containers. So we also install Kubectl, which is the thing that helps us to communicate with the Kube API server. So we can issue the commands on our machine, and it's gonna talk to the API server and perform them. So to get started, first let's do this. So we're gonna go ahead and checking the IP tables to allow them to see the bridge traffic. So this is what you should do first to get to in here. So I have two nodes, a master node and a worker node, which are just plain Ubuntu instances. I have not installed anything, I've not done anything with them. So first we're gonna install, before we install, we're gonna let the IP table see the bridge traffics. So let's first paste that. Then we're gonna paste these commands. So you can see applying /et/ sysctl.conf or config. So that's done. We are let that happen so we get the pods to communicate with each other. But soon we'll be installing a container network interface, which is the main thing to allow pods to communicate with each other. Anyways, let's next install the container runtime. So Kubernetes supports different container runtimes, Docker, Container D. So for now, let's use Docker, which is the most used and most popular one. So here I have the documentation for installing Docker on Ubuntu, and I have links to all these documentations in the description also. So first, you can uninstall these all versions if you want. I have not yet installed anything, so I'm not gonna do that step. So first, we have to update our package index or the cache. So paste that. It might take a few seconds. So this is gonna update the cache in our repository for the repository to download packages and do different things on our machine. So if you're on a different distribution, you can choose the distribution in here. So this is for Ubuntu. You could use CentOS, Fedora, and different distributions. Next, this command to allow to use apt over HTTPS. So I'll just do that. Mostly uses HTTP, but we can just use HTTPS with the help of this command, these packages we're installing. We also install other dependencies also, curl, all these things. Mostly Ubuntu gets installed with curl, but if you don't have it, you can install it. Next, add the official GPG key, paste that. After that, we're gonna go ahead and run this command, and then we're gonna update once again since we made a few changes in our repository caches. Let's go ahead and update it again. May take a few seconds. And after that, we're gonna go ahead and install Docker CE, Docker CE CLI, and containerd.io. These are a few packages which we need to run Docker. Now when you come back and paste, I also know that I'm doing all these in my master node. So let's hit Y and hit enter. So this is gonna go ahead and install the Docker container, the Docker engine, and all the dependencies. So after that, we have to have a look at installing Kubeadm. So we have now installed the container runtime. Well, it's installing right now. You can see right here. So if you scroll down, you're going to install Kubeadm, Kubelet, and Kubectl. So you can read this documentation if you want. It's not going to manage Kubelet, Kubectl for you, so you'll need to ensure all these things are there. So you can just go ahead and read them. And after doing all this, we have to go ahead and install these packages. So the first thing we must do is to update our repository caches as we did before. Just copy that. Okay, this is not yet completed. My Docker installation. It might take a few seconds for completing. Okay, I'll come back to you once it's done. So it's installed right now. So Docker is done. If you want, you can just go ahead and type in Docker. You can see it's working. If it's not, just try troubleshooting the installation. So you can just update once again. sudo apt get update or sudo apt update. It's done. Next, let's install a few dependencies. We actually installed all these. Just run it if it's still there. So we can see we did it before, the apt transport https and the curl. Curl is already there, pre-installed with Ubuntu, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, so we have to now download the Google Cloud public signing key, which helps us to manage the Kubernetes stuff. Like we can add the repository and things like that can be done with the help of this Google Cloud public signing key. So once we do that, next, let's add the apt repository. So what this does is actually that we're adding an extra repository on a system. What usually happens is that we have a set of repositories, mainly the main ones from maybe if you're using Ubuntu, we have Ubuntu repositories. So we can, whenever we run an apt get install command, it's going to look in that repository, and if it's not there, it's going to report that the package which we gave is not found. So now if you do sudo apt update, we may not find Kubeadm and Kubeadm and Kubectl. So we are adding the Kubernetes apt repository, which helps us to install these. As you can see, that's done. Now let's once again update. Since we added a new repository, the caches needs to be updated. So let's just update it again. That's done. Next, let's install Kubelet, Kubeadm, and Kubectl. So these are the main components we need to run the things. Paste that. It's also gonna take a few seconds, so I'll come back once it's done. So now it's done. So I have installed Kubectl, Kubeadm, and Kubelet. Let's now hold these things. This is a step that we need to be doing after we do that. So yeah, done. You can see that. Now to check if the installation is working, so you just do Kubectl. You can see the commands Kubeadm and done. So now we have installed Kubeadm, but we've not yet configured it. So for example, if you were to run some containers, so kubectl run maybe nginx dash dash image equals nginx. You can see connection to the server localhost 8080 was refused if you specify the right host or port. So what is the problem is that we're not using Kubeadm. If you have Minikube, maybe it started, but I have not installed Minikube or anything on this. So now we have to go ahead and configure that. And also at the end, I'm going to show you how you can add another node to your cluster. So that's also something, a plus point of this video. So once that's done, let's go over to Calco, which is a content network interface. In case you don't know what content network interfaces are, these are things that help the pods in a group or the pods in the cluster communicate with each other. If these container network interfaces are not present, the pods will not be able to communicate with each other, resulting in an error with communication. So maybe you have a MongoDB database running, so if you have a Node.js pod, the pod will not be able to connect to the database and errors start occurring. So for that, we'll need these container network interfaces. There are a lot of them. There are different types of container network interfaces. One is Calico, which is what we'll be installing on this video. So I'll be showing how to use Calico as the container network interface for our Kubernetes cluster. So also make sure you have these two CPUs. So if you don't know how much CPUs you have for your server, you can just do ls CPU, and it's going to list these things. So CPU 2. Even Kubeadm is not going to work if you don't have at least two CPUs. Even Minikube is the same. So two CPUs needed. So we can just clear that now. And we're going to install this Calico container network interface. It's actually a pod and a set of different resources that are going to be run in our Kubernetes cluster. So first we're going to initialize Kubeadm, so it helps us to get started with our containers and running the container and do different things. So let's just do that now. So let's just paste that, paste. It's gonna do this, so it might take a few minutes internet connection speed. So I'll come back to you once the Kubeadm is initialized. So now Kubeadm was successfully initialized, and I got this command also, Kubeadm join, all these things. So we're gonna have a look at this soon. This is used to join into the same cluster to add a node. So from this worker node, we can connect to the master node and create another node in our cluster. But we're not gonna do that for right now. So we have to complete the Calico steps. So the next step is to make this directory. So in our home /.kube. it's a directory, and we're going to copy the admin configuration for Kubernetes onto our config file. So there, and it's going to change some modifications, the permissions and other things. Let's just paste that. Paste anyway. Hit enter. That's done. It's actually a quick command. All done. Next, we are going to install Calco network interface, container network interface. So for doing this, you're actually creating a, a pod. So pod or some resource. Let's just copy and paste this link. I'll just show you. It's actually a YAML file. We mostly do kubectl apply -f or kubectl create -f and create multiple components from multiple resources. Just like that, this is just a very huge file creating resources. So you can see it's very long. If you have a look in here, you can see it's very long. So it's hosted on the cloud. So instead of using a local file in a system, we're just using a file from the cloud. So you can just copy that. Also, these things are going to be succeeded. Paste that. It might take a few seconds. Done. Not so much time, actually. Yeah. So next, let's create some custom resources. Like we have deployments, pods, nodes, resources as resources. So we're creating some custom resources, just like how we did here. We're gonna grab some resources from the cloud. So just copy that. We're also creating from a file and the link to the file. Paste that. Installation.operator.tiger.io/default is created. So it's successful. I think it's actually successful. So next we're gonna check the pods. So this is the namespace that's created when we run these commands. So it's gonna create a namespace called Calco system. Let's just copy that and see if all are succeeded. So the watch command keeps watching on the things, so it won't change. Just minimize that for now. Yeah. So you can see this is running, this is pending, pod initializing. It's all gonna succeed. So I'm just gonna come back once all these things are running. Okay. So success. All the three pods are running right now. So we can just quit out this Control C and just increase the font size. Clear the screen. Yep. So now the next thing what's done here is to remove the chains on the master so that you can schedule pods on it. When we do this, actually there's a chain that's created, so we cannot create pods on the master node. When we run a pod, for example, I'll just show it to you right now. So kubectl run, maybe nginx again, nginx dash dash image equals nginx and hit enter. You'll see it's created, but if you try to get the pods, so kubectl get pods, it's still in pending state. And if you want to describe, you can just do a describe command to see the logs or if any errors are occurred. So kubectl describe pod. You can see warning failed scheduling, 0 to 1 nodes are available. It had a change and this big error. So what happened is that the pods cannot be created or scheduled on the master node. So there is a solution. You could just run this command to untaint it. But you could do that, but I'm gonna create another node. So I have this node right here. It's a worker node in here. So I'm gonna join this node to the cluster. So it's gonna have two nodes and we can do different things like that. It's gonna be much easier. So to join, it's actually rather simple. So you just clear the screen. So we're gonna do Kubeadm. So Kubeadm, yeah, token create dash dash print print, yeah, join command. So this is a command which helps us to get the command that should be run on the worker node so that we can join these containers, or we can that container can join on onto this cluster. Just run that. You can see this command you'll get, so kubeadm join and this IP address token and this long command. Just copy that and you have to run it onto this node, so the worker node. The thing is that we have to install Kubeadm, kubectl, and Docker on this. So let's just do that quickly. So let's just go back to Docker documentation and let's run all these commands together. You can just watch along so you can just understand a bit more better what we actually did in here. So we are now again installing Docker because we need to have Docker installed on the worker node and the master node. Next, the we actually did this right. So we are adding the keys for the installation, so the official GPG key using the curl command. That's why we install curl in here. Paste that. That's done. It's a very quick command again. Uh, Next, let's run that. And we're gonna install Docker. Might take a few seconds again. So yes, hit enter. I can just hit enter because yes is capitalized. That means it's gonna be the default. Now let's go back, install Kubeadm. We can do this right now. Actually, install the Docker first this time, but doesn't actually matter. Let's wait for this to finish. So once again, I'll come back when it's done. So Docker is installed on our worker node right now. So we can go ahead and run these commands, the IP table, see the bridge traffic. So that should be done again to install Kubeadm, Kubectl, and Kubectl. Space that, and even these commands. They're kind of big commands, but they finish very fast. Enter. You can see that's done. Next, we actually installed the container runtime just now. Docker we installed, so you can just skip that section again. And now we have to install Kubeadm and Kubelet and Kubectl and their dependencies. So first the dependencies. Otherwise they're not gonna work, of course. So you can see we are installing all these things. Done. Most of the things were already installed when we installed Docker, but it doesn't matter. Next, let's do that. The Google Cloud signing key and the Kubernetes API repository where the Kubelet, Kubectl, and Kubeadm packages are hosted. So just paste that. That's also fast. Last thing, to install Kubeadm, Kubectl, and Kubelet. After that, we have to join it with the command we got from our master node. Just go back, paste that, yes. Now again, might take a few seconds, so I'll come back once it's done. So again, that's done. Let's test the results. So Kubectl, ready, ADM, yes, Kubelet, yeah, okay, that's enough. I don't want more. So all are working right now. The last thing we must do is to join these two nodes so that the worker node gets to know that this is the master node and can communicate with each other. So we don't need to install the Calco container network interface on our worker node. So we just have to join with this command. So we'll just go ahead, copy that command, right click to copy and paste that in here, hit enter, and it's gonna perform the TLS bootstrap. So a few connections with each other. And you can see um, the kubelet as informed with new secure connection details. So the node has joined the cluster, which means these two are in the node, the same cluster right now. Successfully, we have joined this work node onto that master node's cluster. So now we want to go ahead and check if it's working. So first we can go ahead and run kubectl get nodes to get all the nodes. So you can see it's not ready. So you can actually watch it right now. You can go watch and hit enter. You can see it's ready. So I'll decrease the font size. Yeah. So all are ready right now. Successfully, we have done that. We have connected these two nodes to the same cluster with Kubeadm. So let's just clear. Next thing, we'll just test it out. So maybe we can run an Nginx container or an Nginx pod actually. So kubectl run uh, Nginx 2 as because we already had one an Nginx which is failed. Nginx2 dash dash image equals Nginx. Hit enter. See it's created. Now let's go ahead and check. Let's describe. So kubectl describe pod Nginx 2. So I named this 2. So I'll give the name of whatever you named it. Hit enter. You can see started container Nginx 2. So if you go ahead and do kubectl get pods, you can see it's running successfully. Even the other one started to run because now it got another node to get scheduled or to get created. So it went ahead and got deployed on the other node. So here we cannot do actually anything. We don't have to do much things. So we do everything from the master node. So just clear the screen. could try another container as well. So maybe you want to do kubectl run busy box dash dash image. It's actually not actually gonna work. So let's try executing in a container. Kubectl exec and the name of the container. So nginx2 dash it bash. So we want to run bash. Because we are inside the container, we can do all the commands inside the container. So if I do who am I, it's root, and it's working properly. So we have success right now. So we have successfully created a cluster. We have installed Kubeadm and did a lot of things in this video. So actually that was what I want to show in this video: installing Kubeadm, configuring it, adding another node to the cluster, and things like that. So that's the first video. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe for new videos. Hit the notification bell to get notified. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.